we've been doing a program called Art Day, which is an after-school weekly art program where Muhlenberg student volunteers go to elementary schools in the Allentown School District and do arts and crafts projects.
My painting is that I draw a two-person with a heart, and I draw a werewolf, and then I draw a flag. And this one that I made a red heart right here, can you see it? But I made it right there, and then it looked like a person jumping through the sky.
These fourth graders got the opportunity to enjoy their own creativity and artwork outside of school. If art were present in their education throughout school, these kids could truly realize their talents and potential.
In the summer of 2013, the Allentown School District announced major cuts to art class, gym class, and library instruction. We knew at Hype that we needed to create a documentary focused on this problem.
We took our idea to the World We Want Foundation, a program that focuses on promoting and supporting young global citizens making positive social change in their communities. We proposed a project to create a documentary about the importance of art in the lives of young people, the impact of eliminating art from the schools, and an exploration of how other communities are responding in the face of similar pressures. Hype's proposal was successful, and we received funding from the World We Want Foundation to produce this documentary.
Why was this topic important? Why did Hype choose to focus on this?
This topic is important because I think, first of all, it's timely. You know, the school districts across the nation are experiencing a number of financial and systematic cuts and challenges. As we think about K through 12 education, things have shifted over the past 5 years in a really dramatic way. And part of the way things have shifted is really around the kinds of education that one might consider a privilege: arts, library, music, gym. And here at Hype, a program focused on technology and arts and supporting young people and exploring a number of different ways of learning, it becomes really, really important to create a kind of counter narrative to that, right? Arts, music, library, gym, but particularly arts just aren't just expendable sort of sideline tools for learning. They really are critical pieces of the school day, and they are critical pieces of how young people engage with the world around them. I think it's a real tragedy to take away so many of the things that we as adults and professionals recall fondly from our school years and our school days, and I worry that young people not having access to these things will forever change the way they interact with and see the world. And so at Hype, this is a critical issue, and we see the way that arts enhances learning and engagement and their sense of purpose. And we believe that every young person should have that opportunity.
We want our documentary to spark community dialogue and action. Arts has a positive impact on youth and the community. We hope to use the power of documentary arts to challenge this community to reinvest in arts programs in schools.
In 2011, the Allentown School District started suffering from budget cuts, primarily in the arts. The budget cuts have been increasing every year since then. In 2014, the school board voted against budget cuts. There was then a revote, and they voted for the budget cuts. A final budget of $255 million that will cut 98 more positions and raise taxes by 5.85% was approved.
It is a rainy day in the Allentown School District, but the sun will come out again if we do the right things. This short video will provide you with a broad overview of the economic state of our district and not the academics. We also will explain the path to a better day. We do one thing: we empower students for life. We prepare students to be confident citizens who contribute to our collective society. We prepare them to graduate and to obtain the best jobs available or attend the best colleges. We accomplish this one thing in a cost-effective manner. In spite of our efficiencies, however, we continue to lack adequate funding for our children's needs. These needs go well beyond the 3 R's, reading, writing, and arithmetic. Let's look at both revenues and expenditures. The straightforward problem is that revenues are not keeping pace with the expenses. We spend more than we have. We have significant expenses, in particular personnel, operations, and charters. Unfortunately, cutting jobs has been the most effective savings measure to date because salaries and benefits are the largest portion of our budget. The 2 plateaus of this graph denote the years of severe personnel cuts. Even sporadic salary freezes and the closing of buildings are not as effective as personnel cuts. To seriously reduce expenses, several items have been addressed during the past years. We realized a total of about $77 million in one-time and repeated savings during the past 4 years, including 366 positions, resulting in approximately $46 million in repeated savings through 2014, changing school start times, resulting in a repeated savings in transportation through 2014 of just under $3 million, reduced all district level and school budgets by 20% for a repeated savings of about $5.4 million, and restructured our debt at a one-time savings of $4.8 million. In spite of these reductions and others, our forecast for our fund balance is 0 by next year and a substantial deficit accumulating through the next few years. We are not alone. Our urban cousins around the state also are economically strapped. We have important advantages, however: our people and our history of good financial management. Careless management did not bring us here. Economic circumstances beyond our control did. Hence, we are positioned better than our cousins to match our spending with our revenues. To avoid dire consequences, however, we must right-size our district. We cannot equivocate. Recovery is essential, but it is not easy. If we do as we must, we can emerge from this difficult period in our history to regain our economic balance and enjoy sunny days again.
Though cuts are happening in our hometown, it is important to note that similar problems are happening on a national basis. We researched other districts in our country to see how other communities are dealing with similar problems.
Sue Pesanowski-Brown, who is now being laid off after 10 years of teaching art classes at Fratney, says that students will be missing out on essential learning processes due to further reductions in public school arts programs across the country.
That people acquire information in different ways, and the cuts over the years have narrowed the field of how children can be successful. Losing music, losing physical education, losing art is not just losing the extras, it's really losing ways that children learn intellectually, the way they acquire information and the way they communicate it back out to the world.
Deborah Roberson is a member of the Allentown School District Foundation Board of Directors and an architect at Roberson Butts, a firm that has done many projects in the public school system, including additions at Jackson and Roosevelt elementary schools. She is widely known as a tireless advocate for arts education. What do you think students feel about art in their schools?
I think 99.9% of students love having access to art in their schools. Art can, if you're a high school student, art can be a release. It can be something relaxing that you do as opposed to all your really difficult studies. It can also be something that you control, and there's so few things you have control of in school. It can be something that's just yours, or it can be something you share. I think kids really need that outlet. Having access to art is a critical part of having a well-rounded education. The impact art has on academics, on good citizens, on moral character it's tremendous. Art is absolutely not a luxury. I think it's an essential part of public education, and that if we no longer think as a nation, as an educational community, that we can not afford to have art in school, then I think that's a tremendous problem, and the impact that it's going to have long term on the kinds of children we're educating is going to be significantly, really significant in a really negative way.
Rosemary Gessick is an artist and art teacher in Allentown. She teaches art at the Baum School of Art and has been an artist in residence at several Allentown schools. Recently, she spoke with us before her class at the Baum School.
You teach here at Baum School of Art, and
That's
you're
right.
also the artist in residence at Allentown School District. So can you tell us a little about the residency program?
Well, it's a wonderful supplement to art education that we so sorely need in the area. Deborah Robeson with the Allentown Art School District Foundation, and also I work with Kathy Odorizzi over at the Allentown Art Museum. Their groups have spearheaded sort of a grassroots efforts to come into the area and supplement the arts. And I think I've been working with them about 3 years now. And what's nice is that it's a nice variety of things too. It's because I'm a muralist also, so we even do murals in the school and many opportunities that the students would not normally have. If you have an interest, and then you get to see professionals actually showing you how to even be better, that's what I try to do. I try to mentor students and open possibilities for creativity. So and I went to undergraduate in Moravian College. I went to University of Arizona for grad school, so I have a lot of background with technique and teaching them. And that's what I try to give them, that wonderful experience. Art it's much more than just, I'm just coloring or doing this. It's a lot of decision making and sort of hand-to-eye coordination, and because like people say, oh, it's so relaxing to do art. It is, but on the other hand, you're really activated and you're thinking and you're learning all new possibilities, and I think it spills over to everything in general. And what I say too is it's so wonderful to get students at an earlier age, because they're still open to things and they're showing you your work. Here at Baum School, we have after-school programs that are scholarship programs. Neighborhood kids come from all the schools, and because sometimes they don't get enough in their school, but it's nice we could supplement it, and through the foundation we do it. But they're at this age where everything's possible, and they're really into it. A lot of times, if I notice that if children don't maybe feel comfortable by the time they're 11 or 12, sometimes they feel like, oh, I can't draw realistically, maybe I shouldn't do it, and that's not what it's about. It's about creativity. And if you get them early enough, I think a lot of them will continue on with it too. So I think that's very important. I know the core group is very important, the STEM group and everything like that, very important. Sciences, math, but I just think, I always like to think of like Leonardo da Vinci. I use him as a mentor. My favorite mentor is Paul Cézanne, though. I use him all the time, but for color. But da Vinci, it's the sciences, it is the arts, to be well balanced, so that it's not only the left brain, but also the right brain. That's what I would love to see, a balance, so that music is included, and of course art, along with a nice, well-balanced thing. So it's not too much of one thing or too much of the other,
John Roylance is an art teacher at William Allen High School. He is also currently serving as the art director. He is an artist, potter, and community participant in arts events and programs, such as the 8x8 event held by the Allentown Academy of the Arts.
Well, in the district, in Allentown, the high school classes haven't really been modified too much. We've been pretty lucky. But down at the elementary school level, they've been close to decimated. They've lost a lot of teachers. Students get very little art experience or music. Library's been cut. There's a lot of cuts in the elementary area. Middle school, we've also lost some teachers. So I would say generally the high school level's been okay, but elementary and middle school, not so good. And that leads to other issues as far as what are those kids bringing up to the high school? What haven't they gotten that we're going to need to talk about when they show up at the high school? So it's a problem district-wide, not just for the elementary kids.
Do you have a story about how art has impacted a student?
Sure, I have a lot. Being a teacher for a long time, I have a lot of stories like that. Most recently, just this year, there's a thing called the Scholastic Art Awards. It's a national competition, and one of my students submitted a nice large drawing, and she won a National Gold Award and was invited to Carnegie Hall for the ceremony, and really didn't change her, but it at least gave her the acknowledgement that she deserved for being such a great artist, you know. Other than that, lots of students have come through our programs and moved on to college experience and careers in the arts, so it's been good for many of our students. I think first and foremost right now in Allentown, it's a funding crisis. I think there's no real equitable distribution of funds throughout the state, and so our district is getting hit real hard, and so we're making cuts that other districts don't. So as far as changing the situation, I think we need to change the way the schools are funded. So, for example, a district outlying, say maybe Parkland or Emmaus, a couple of years ago, they were worried about losing their driver's ed teacher while we're losing 200 teachers district-wide. I mean, there's something not fair, there's not a level playing field there, and I don't have the answers, but I think it's definitely a financial problem.
Since the cuts in Allentown School District happened in 2011, the city of Allentown, the smaller communities, and individuals have been affected.
If this trend continues, arts will be erased from our public schools. Schools around the country are facing similar problems and are coming up with better solutions.
It was known as a dropout factory. Just 3 years ago, Orchard Gardens School in Roxbury, Massachusetts was plagued not only by bad test scores, but violence.
The principal, Andrew Bott, decided to do something about it.
It had a huge security infrastructure, and I decided to eliminate it completely and reinvest all of that money into the arts.
Principal Andrew Bott's goal? To use the arts as a tool for academic success. With the help of the Pumped Up Arts program, Orchard Gardens went from being among the worst performing schools in Massachusetts to having one of the fastest student improvement rates statewide.
It develops the whole student, and you're going to see improvement in other academic areas.
Yes. Tell me, did the hallways look like this?
No, there was not this level of student work on the walls. You know, now the hallways capture the spirit of the school. We are far from done, but we are definitely on the right path.
Kevon. 8th grader Kevon Little embodies that turnaround. Once struggling, he's now headed to the competitive Boston Arts Academy for high school.
Now that the teachers actually help me and they push me on the right track, I can actually see a future for myself.
A future made a lot brighter by a crazy idea that now looks more like a stroke of genius.
This school is awesome.
Katie Tur, NBC News, Roxbury, Massachusetts.
Other communities are finding creative solutions to keep arts alive in spite of financial restraints. Why can't our schools? Hype had the good fortune to meet and interview Eugene Jarecki, author and award-winning documentary filmmaker. He spoke with us about the power of the documentary, arts, and education.
All right, we were just wondering how a documentary would help change sort of the outlook on arts in the school system.
You guys live here in Allentown, and as I've come to hear about it, you guys have had cutbacks in support for the arts here in Allentown. Wherever you are, in whatever town you are, the ability to take that camera and capture the consequences of decision-making made by your local leadership, it's terribly important, because what you can do with that is capture images of it, capture people who want to talk about it, capture people who used to have arts things that they could do and now don't have things that they can do, capture that sense of disappointment, And you can then cut that together, edit it together, as you guys are, I'm sure, learning to do, and put it together into something that people can watch. And you can then put that out not only over the internet, but you can get it to the groups that would want to sort of mobilize about this. So, I mean, I've helped over many years while I've been a filmmaker. I've helped with something called the Educational Video Center in New York, which is a group that teaches young people, a lot like yourselves, to work with cameras and movie equipment to put together their own movies and capture images from the world they live in. So that's an arts program I've been directly involved in. But sure, as a young person, I was involved in arts programs in every school I went to. In those days, America much more vibrantly supported such programs, and it's because of programs like that that people like myself do what I do. I learned to love the theater arts at college, and I learned to love theater arts in high school. And if those arts programs had been cut back, I would have been just left to drift, and I don't know what my life would have been. So I sit here before you as somebody who benefited tremendously from those kind of programs. And in most situations in life, things are complicated, and it's not easy to arrive at the right answer, and your movies should properly reflect where the challenges are. That doesn't mean you don't have an opinion, but it means that you have to show how hard it is to arrive at that opinion, and that the situation, despite being complicated, still requires heartfelt commitment and action by an alert citizenry. It's the only way anything will change.
What direction do we choose?